Hello, hello, fine gentlemen and gentlewomen of the internet. This is SC2 Noob School, and I am Travis. And today I have a strategy for you for the non-gentle people out there. This is for you vicious Terran players. If you want an extremely deadly Terran vs. Protoss strategy that is actually quite easy to execute, it's scary how easy it is to execute compared to how good it is, we are going to be showing off the 1-1-1 build from Terran against Protoss. Now let me just tell you a little bit about this build. This build has been kind of a menace on the Korean ladder especially. Terrans are relying on this build very, very heavily, and the gist of the build is you get a barracks up with a reactor and just get out a bunch of Marines. You get a factory and a starport out. With the starport you make banshees. With the factory you make siege tanks with siege. You push out with all of that when you have about 2 siege tanks, maybe 2 banshees, and then this handful of Marines. Bring maybe 6 to 8 SCVs depending on how all in you want to be, and it's very, very hard for the Protoss to defend. Lots of times Protoss are expanding more quickly than this, but even if they aren't expanding and let's say they scout this build, it's still very, very hard to hold off. This was one of the reasons that the Immortals were given that range buff. We'll talk about that a little bit more when this game is more underway. So we have Show over here is going to be showing off the 1-1-1 build. So far we have the ordinary, typical, everyday Terran opener with gas. This is a 12 barracks and a 13 refinery, and we're going to be seeing a 15 orbital command as well. If you want to see the very beginnings of this build, if you're not familiar with that quite yet, I do have it's called Standard Terran Opener that just shows exactly how to execute this build. You should basically everyone should know this build. It's just super, super standard. So we got the orbital command coming down. From this first barracks, we're just going to get 2 Marines out and hopefully deny all the scouting of any kind of little proby action going on. So we got the first Marine out, and I'd say optionally you could make your reactor right after that, or you could get 2 Marines out. Just a little flavor choice. But the other thing we're going to be looking for is this 100 gas to build this factory. Obviously if you build the reactor first, this factory is going to be a little bit delayed, so you can keep that in mind. Oh, he's getting 3 Marines. My mistake. And you can see right here he actually lets the probe in. Don't let that happen. That was a lot of information to see that second gas. So there we go. With that first 100 gas we got the factory. Now that he had another 50 more gas, we're putting down the reactor. And then we're just going to finish this wall off. Use these Marines to just deny any more scouting or anything silly that's going to happen. It's not really going to be any attacks coming from the Protoss at this point in the game. Lots of times you'll see maybe a little stalker poke, but that's about it. When this factory finishes, you should have just enough gas to build your starport. Build that starport straight away. We're going to be getting a tech lab on this factory, but you can go ahead and pump out a Hellion if you want. Hellion is optional. You don't really have to do it. This is that stalker poke I was talking about that you see very, very frequently from good players, because basically before the Terran has Marauders out or anything, or even Hellions, this stalker can run away from anything. So you see he only took 3 actual damage there, and he was able to just do a couple hits on these Marines. Just a tiny, tiny little advantage, but might as well get it. So now we got the tech lab going down on the factory. We're going to switch that with the starport. We're going to be getting our banshees first. Now we're not getting cloaked because we need to save a little bit of gas so that we can get siege mode for our siege tanks. So here we see the first banshee coming out and getting our tech lab straight away on the factory as well. Now this first banshee is gonna try to do economic damage, but more importantly than doing any economic damage is getting scouting in. So here's the other reason, the other good reason to get this Hellion. You see the Hellion was able to come in and see this expansion. So that can be useful. This is a nice tool for map control. It can take the watchtowers and can do a little bit of scouting. And as you can see, Naniwa is actually going to scout this. And interestingly, he chooses not to get rid of his Nexus. And you can see he's just making another observer because he does suspect that there are banshees coming. So the first banshee is out. As you can see back at home, we've started our factory, our siege tank production, and we're researching siege mode. This whole time we're building SCVs, nothing new there. And now Naniwa sees the 111. He knows it's coming, and some Protoss here will cancel their expansion. Others will try to hold it. Basically, I'll talk about it a little more when the defense or when the attack actually happens, but it's all comes down to if you can target the immortals on the siege tanks. That's really the most important thing. So you can see he poked in there, he saw there was defense from the stalkers, and rather than try to even make anything happen, he's just getting out of there with his banshee, because that banshee is critical to this push that's about to come up. So here's our timing. Here's the exact timing. You saw that siege tank just came out. He's taking, oh, that's like 16 SCVs, or not that many. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 SCVs. So that is a very significant amount of his production. Notice he's not taking any off gas. He can just mule it up, continue to rally in units. That's the other important thing. Continue to rally in siege tanks, banshees, everything you can. So we're going to watch. Before this battle happens, let me just talk about what each player is thinking. For show, the reason you have this many SCVs is for two things. First of all, you can get repairs on the banshees and on the siege tanks. And then it's also just a buffer to protect your marines from zealots. And the marines are going to basically, this whole defense is centered around protecting your siege tanks. If they can get their siege tanks down, then they can use Stalker Micro to basically pick off your marines. So the whole crux of this is to keep your siege tanks alive. And so you can see when you're watching Naniwa in this battle, he's always trying to get in a position where he can start targeting those immortals on the siege tanks. It's also a good idea for Naniwa to push out like this and just try to delay this attack as much as possible. Getting some nice force fields down, he's able to pick off a couple of the front marines and SCVs, but not a whole lot other than that. Once those siege tanks are sieged, he's got to get back there. And then with both of these banshees just doing incredible DPS, he definitely has to back out. At this point, I think Naniwa could maybe have taken a shot off at these siege tanks, but now that the siege tanks are in range of the Nexus, the death clock for Naniwa is ticking down. He's got to clean this up, or he's going to lose the game as soon as this Nexus goes down, basically. So at this point, he's got 5. You can see he cut probe production for a while after he scouted this. He's got 5 gateways and a robotics facility. He's going to get as many immortals out as he can. So now we're sieged up in range of the Nexus. We've got another Banshee coming in rallied. We've got some more Marines coming in rallied. We even have another siege tank on the way. And Naniwa's got to make something happen. He's positioning his immortals so that hopefully he can come in here and snipe some of the siege tanks. Accidentally lost some shields there. But as the Protoss player, you can just sit in this position and protect your siege tanks. That's all you need to do. He's coming in. Watch the immortals. Immortals are targeting down the siege tanks. Ideally, Sho would have actually used his marines to target down the immortals a little bit faster. Maybe not have lost that siege tank. But as it is, with just this one siege tank alive, he's going to be just fine. He's still got this chokehold on the Nexus. He's still got more Marines rallying in. He's still got a Banshee and 2 siege tanks. And Naniwa just does not have any kind of production to deal with this. Doesn't have the economy to deal with it. And once that expansion's down, it's pretty much GG. So there you have it. This is such a difficult build to deal with. As you can see, actually, Sho was making a little bit of a mistake not rallying in some units there. But that's fine. But this is a very difficult build to hold off, and not a terribly difficult one to execute. I would highly recommend learning this for you Terran players. Just try not to get too reliant on it where it's the only thing you know how to do, because it is an all-in. You can't take all those SCVs with you and not call this an all-in. Anyway, this is a very useful build. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and go try it on the ladder and tell me how it does. Thank you for watching. GG!